Good evening, Aquarius. We are going to do a classic Celtic cross for you tonight. I have already shuffled these cards for you, but I'm going to give them a little extra swish as usual. I'm going to do one more hard and 3 soft. May we have an accurate reading, please, for Aquarius. In 2 more, may we have an accurate reading for Aquarius, please. Oops, in 1 more. Okay, and we're just going to take it right off the top. So after we lay these cards out, I will go through each of the positions. 2 major arcana so far. It's incredible. There's you. So this is definitely your reading. We have 4 major arcana so far, and we only have 5 cards out. Wow. It's interesting. Clarify that. Look out. Yeah. Can I have one more? Amazing. All right. So I think this is the 2nd or 3rd time that the bottom of the deck, that the world has been on the bottom of the deck for your reading. It's incredible. So the bottom of the deck, I'm seeing one main thing for the world here. The world card represents it is the final card in the major arcana. It represents a spiritual completion where the personality has dropped. One has managed to shed all their earthly attachments. And it's a very huge card of upgrade. But in this reading, I'm seeing this as a spiritual graduation, a time of ascension. You may be ready to assist others or assist the world, Mother Earth, in her ascension into 5D. It also has to do with the 4 corners are supposed to represent Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And of course, they all had a different idea of who Jesus was. They say that John was the only person who actually knew Jesus. Some believe that he was a translator 2,000 years ago when Jesus was here. Some believe that he was there as well to assist in imparting information to the human race, which didn't go so very well. But in any case, we do have a huge, massive disclosure of spiritual information that I believe will be coming up. For example, we've discovered the CDT plates in Egypt, and that those plates are said to contain their holographic discs that are said to have been created over 10,000 years ago in order to record and preserve information that's even older than that. But the shocking thing is the information on it is more technologically advanced than we are right now. So there are people in this world today who are considered to be translators of, their role is to impart that information, or at least seek it, understand it, and assist with the ascension of Mother Earth. So I think this is the way that card should be interpreted here. Sorry for spending so much time on the bottom of the deck. The issue here, I see you looking at, it's the Queen of Cups. So I mean, a Cancer person could be at issue, but the issue here is quite clearly she is looking at that cup. That cup is actually very important. It's considered to be the Holy Grail in tarot. It's quite a cup. I mean, if you look at it and you can see how carefully she's holding it, she's supporting it with two hands. But I believe that this represents you um, focusing on your intuition, on the subconscious, and on unconditional love. There is a lot of instability going on in the world right now. There are, it would appear that things are breaking down. And yes, partly that is true, but it doesn't mean that things are not progressing. In fact, I think it's quite the opposite, that um, it's sort of like a sweeping out of things that are unstable to be replaced by beautiful stability and unconditional love. So I think the issue, notice how she's not looking around distracted by what's going on around her. She is keeping her focus, a strong, steady focus on that Holy Grail. She also is, as you know, all queens in the deck are elementally water. Well, the Queen of Cups is water on water. She is the only person, the only character that the High Priestess. They say that the High Priestess does not speak. That's true, but there is one exception. Occasionally, she will speak to the Queen of Cups. And I believe that's because the Queen of Cups makes all of her decisions based on the subconscious, and on unconditional love, even strategical decisions. It's the last call for her is always what how should this situation be handled, applying unconditional love. Now, I say this because the challenge here. This is the card of the Hermit. A Virgo could be challenging you, yes. But that is the star. It's a six-pointed star in that lantern. It is considered to be the Star of David, and the Hermit has been through all of the experiences in the major arcana. He's been to the top of the mountain, and now he is descending, and he is going to share the wisdom that he has developed over all these years. You guys are Aquarius, so one of your major arcana cards, the most important major arcana card for you, is the Fool. The other, of course, is the Star. The Fool has a staff. You might remember that's sort of aligned with the sun. Well, that staff is the same staff that the Hermit is holding right there. All right. So the challenge could be, of course, the Hermit is being guided by the divine. And you might hear some tarot readers say, "Oh, you spend some time alone." Well, you might. The challenge could be to be doing some self-reflection and meditation on your own, but you certainly will not be alone. The Hermit is never alone. He is always guided by the divine. So he has the most important company that anyone could ever have. So your challenge, looking at these, notice how you're looking at this cup, you're looking at the Star of David here, very focused. Your challenge could be in this crazy world, as it seems that we're living in right now, your challenge could be, what does the divine want me to do? What is the truth? The Hermit is also, this can also be someone who is investigating or seeking a truth. I don't know if you've ever seen the series Columbo, but sometimes the Hermit reminds me of Columbo, because Columbo is always in search of the actual truth. So that could be what's challenging you right now. All right. Now, I think that this all makes sense because in the subconscious we have you. This is one of your major arcana cards. It's the Star. So we have you being the bridge here between the material and the subconscious and the intuitive. and she is on one knee, which is supposed to represent her kneeling before God, being the great loyal servant, the faithful loyal servant of God. Um, what is she doing? She's healing, and she's maintaining hope. Um, so subconsciously, there is something else that I'm seeing here. So you may have, notice how this is in the subconscious, and that we do have a bunch of stars there, meaning there could be a star system that you are connected with historically. And this could be, you could be either having dreams, or you could be having feelings like longings and feelings that, for example, you could have a certain affinity toward a certain culture or toward a certain era historically. And it could be because that you actually have a connection, in your previous lifetimes, to a different world or a different star system here. All right, so I love the fact that the stars in the subconscious, because it's all about hope and healing. And that bird represents a fish hook, actually. The idea of, believe it or not, fishing, and it's in this card. It has a very historical meaning. That has, bottom line is, it has to do with meditation and finding truths through meditation. Now, notice how in the recent past we have the moon. So, of course, there could be a Pisces in your recent past, but I like the way the moon is in the past there, because what that tells me is that you've already started tapping into your intuition. Any kind of deception or deceit is behind you. There is an enormous amount of wisdom here that is contained between these two great pillars. So I do believe that in the recent past, you may have been able to very deeply tap in to your intuition. In the very near future, we have some kind of a proposal coming in. This could be a proposal from your soul family, from the galactics, from an actual person living in this world. It could be a romantic proposal. It could be a very important message that's delivered to you. The Knight of Cups, nights are fixed. It can be a Scorpio coming toward you. But that night is associated with a spiritual advancement and crossing over from one realm to another. This could be contact from your soul family. Whatever it is, Aquarius, it's absolutely beautiful. All right. Now, the tools are the Three of Wands. That is Sun in Aries. That the period of 3 days keeps coming up over and over and over in your readings. And also the idea of waiting for something that is about to materialize. This being in the position of the tools, it tells me, and I want you to look at the yellow glow around this person's head. There is a certain vulnerability about that period of waiting. It can be kind of angsty when you're waiting for something to come in. And some of you have even commented, I keep being told that something's about to happen. It never happens. Well, this period of time where you know that something's coming and it hasn't shown up in the 3D yet, it requires you to keep your mind focused and clear, all right, and not to allow it to fall into the lower polarities, left ear's ringing, of doubt and anxiety. All right. The outside influences is Saturn in Pisces, and I have to tell you something really interesting. Many saints have that placement, have their Saturn in Pisces. It's just undeniable. It also has to do with upgrading, with the spiritual advancement. The hilarious thing, if not ironic, is that in this reading, the card that follows the Eight of Cups is the Nine of Cups. The person in this card is departing from a situation that's okay. In other words, the cups are still standing, but they're upgrading. I'm going to discuss now that this card, along with what's crowning your reading. I'm sure you've heard of the story of Moses when he was leading the Israelites out of Egypt, because of course these pharaohs and kings in Egypt, and historically we can go way back, BCE, and we have historical records of who the kings were in Egypt. There's no question that they were treating the Israelites like slaves. Now, one of the meanings, this is the Justice card, okay, which is reigning your reading, and it has a lot to do with karmic retribution and spiritual justice. In the Quran, there are many beautiful definitions of what that actually means. As you go about the world, see those who did not follow the teachings of the Quran and see how it was for them. In other words, learn from others. But the card is not about punishment or enjoying watching other people suffering. It's in fact, we're reminded that Moses was told before he had to in fact flee and lead the Israelites out of Egypt, to go and speak to the Pharaoh and try to negotiate with him and give the Pharaoh a chance to pull up his socks. And he treated Moses terribly. And so look what happened. We all know the story that they when they were trying to chase Moses and the Israelites after the parting of the Red Sea, they all drowned, the Pharaoh's army. And but the idea was Moses was actually instructed to go and try and negotiate, and they laughed in his face. By the way, do you know that phenomena that took place, that some of us say, oh, well, come on now, the parting the Red Sea. Well, actually, there are scientists in the United States that believe that it could have actually happened. It's a weather event called a wind set down, and it has happened before. In any case, I digress. It's the outside influences. I see this as a spiritual upgrade as you moving forward and applying all these beautiful principles of justice, fairness, and giving other people a break, giving them a chance to redeem themselves before you move on from them. Not too much, not too much time though. All right, so the hopes and fears, we have the Nine of Cups. I believe that you're going to get whatever you want here. This could be a fear of yours because, of course, sometimes the Nine of Cups, it's always about getting whatever you want. It's considered to be the wish card. But there is an angst here, and that person is not completely happy. They're not fulfilled as a person would be in the Ten of Cups. So perhaps part of you is fearing that, well, if I get what I want, will I be truly happy? Maybe what you're fearing is, what is somebody else hiding under that banquet tablecloth? Now, the outcome, I do see somebody coming toward you. This is a card of Leo with gusto. This is somebody with conquest energy. I asked to clarify, and I got you fully intact here, standing strong. connected to the earth. You could be very rich here. You're coming up as the Nine of Pentacles person, which is the it girl or the it guy. And I'm telling you right now, when I asked to further clarify this, because I was wondering what does this have to do with this? Do you see the Wheel of Fortune here? Notice how this Wheel of Fortune comes right before Justice. All right, we have 10 and 11. And the idea is, in this card, we have three possible fates. We have the fate of this person who hasn't learned their lesson, who is they've got conquest energy. They're wearing salamanders, and the salamanders on their smock, the salamanders' tails are not touching the mouths, which means that this person is not fully mature. Okay? That person, I believe, is this smug, selfish person here. They are going to suffer the first fate in this card, which is the consequences of their own actions. All right. The second fate, sorry, this is supposed to be over there. The second fate is to, if something bad happens to you, well, you make the most of it. You turn lemons into lemonade. But the third fate is being able to avoid any kind of suffering. In the ancient, in some of the most ancient religious texts, this is explained, that the causes of suffering, the idea of suffering, they can be completely avoided by transcending and transmuting any kind of karmic energy that's coming toward you. So I believe that this card as the outcome is you harnessing that third fate and not having to face the karmic retribution that this person is going to. I believe that these three cards right here are very important. What they're telling me is, God help anybody who comes toward you with this conquest energy. The other thing, your outcome here, you're coming up as, this is, by the way, Venus in Virgo. It's the Nine of Pentacles. So it's where what you've built up, what you have, you can never lose. No one can ever take that away from you. It's the privileged lady, or you could call, or if you're a man, the privileged man. It's the inner something that you just can't put a finger on. It's an incredibly beautiful outcome here. Just for fun, let's see if we can get some messages from this, whoever this person is here, who's coming at you with this, wow. First of all, I am building my courage to confess how I truly feel for you, but I'm worried about your reaction. How about this? Spiritual awakening. So I believe that's what you've already gone through, and perhaps what you might be assisting this person. Whether it's through your rejection of them, or you're giving them imparting some information to them if they're willing to hear it. It's an incredibly powerful reading, Aquarius. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. Would you do me a favor? Would you, if you've made it this far, could you please hit subscribe and like, and it really assists me in getting more of these readings a broader reach. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful night.